So, आप सब लोगों को नमस्कार. My very sincere good evening to you. My name is Dr. Hemant Malhotra. I am the present president of the Indian Society of Oncology, and it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to this ISO webinar series. Very happy to tell you that this is series number 13, and this time we have chosen an innovative topic which should be of interest to everybody across the spectrum: medical oncologists, surgical oncologists, radiation oncologists, oncopathologists, everybody doing connected to oncology in any way. And this time, our topic is the role of virtual medicine, or the role of AI, how we can use it, how we can understand it in medicine and in oncology. So, we're all aware that this is a topic of intense interest, and some of us are concerned, some of us are excited, but everybody is involved with AI in one way or the other, and how the AI will interact or help us or compete with us in the care of cancer patients. So we have a couple of experts on board for today evening's program. We have a very fine panel discussion with a wonderful moderator. And to tell you about all those, I'd like to hand over proceedings now to a senior member of the executive committee of the ISO, the Indian Society of Oncology, Dr. Damodar Gupta. Dr. Damodar Gupta is a senior scientist. He is a scientist F in the INMAS, which we know is one of the premier nuclear medicine institutes of the country at Delhi. And he will introduce the first speaker to you, and he will give you the gist of today's program. So I hand over proceedings to Dr. Damodar Gupta. Over to you, Dr. Damodar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar. Uh, it's wonderful to see you all joining us online during the webinar. Over the next 1 hour, we'll be exploring AI on call, practical tools for the hematologist and oncologist. The topic will be covered by Dr. Prantar Chakraborty. He's well-known person and Chief Scientific Officer, Juho Corporation, and he's senior hematologist. He is also going to moderate a panel discussion where the esteemed panelists are Dr. Harit Chaturvedi. He is chairman from Max Cancer Care Hospital, Delhi. Dr. Sujay Prasad, director of Anand Diagnostics Laboratory, associate medical director of Newberg Diagnostics. He's from Bangalore. Dr. Shreyas Kulkarni, he's professor and head, Department of Radio Diagnostics from TMC, Mumbai. Dr. Kundan Singh Chaufal, senior consultant and head, Radiation Oncology, Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center, Delhi. Dr. Vidur Mahajan, senior physician, and the center from the Advanced Research Imaging, Neuroscience, and Genomics. So the topic will be covered by the Dr. Pranta Chakravarti is AI on call, practical tools for the hematologist and oncologist. I request and I invite Dr. Chakravarti to share his expert views on the topic. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Gupta.
Yes.
And it's always a pleasure to discuss something which all of us only understand a bit, and we are trying to get to know it better, whether it's a friend or foe, and whether what we'll be able to do in future is already always discussed. But I think we should now realize that it is already there. So in the panel discussion, where you have people from laboratories, from the radiotherapy, from radio diagnosis, you'll see how it is being used. But the request from the society was that, what can we do today? So that's why instead of a hematologist on call or an oncologist on call, I thought, how about keeping AI on call? So greetings from Tenkasi in Tamil Nadu. This is near Kanyakumari. I think all of us now understand what is artificial intelligence. And I hope you can see what I am showing you. It's basically a copy. Anything artificial is obviously a copy. It is trying to reproduce the human brain's functions. And it is actually the capacity which we are giving to machines. What? To memorize and learn from experience, also to vomit out, right? Like we have taken our MBBS exams and MD, DM exams, but it can also think and create what is we are calling as generative AI, speak, judge, and make decisions. Now, these are some of the most sensitive issues, but if they can mimic us to some extent, maybe we will be doing a better job. That is what has been postulated. So what you have to understand is it's an entire thing which, just like a human can sense, reason, act, and adapt, within it, you have machine learning, right? And this is where it started. Then you have deep learning. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning. I think the screen changed. Just a moment, please. Let me stop sharing and share it again. Yes. Yeah. So machine learning is a subset. I think we'll again have the slides in a minute or two. And this deep learning actually has changed the way we are now seeing artificial intelligence. So we might think that it's a new thing and only Gen Z will be able to understand and all that. That is actually not true. If I tell you that it was there when most of us were not born, right? Then what would you say? I think there is a problem. It's not going into full screen, right? Can you see the full screen?
No, still not, sir.
Okay, okay. Anyway, I'll go on speaking. Meanwhile, machines can do like this. We are trying to make it like humans, but no problem. I'll just do it. So what I was trying to tell you is that it started way back in the 1950s. And at that time, we were trying to do something which was, if this, do this.
Prantha, sir, we are not able to see the screen, sir.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it because I've closed it and reopened it.
Okay.
Okay. I think machines understand that language very well. If it's not, then I'll do something. I think that you can see the screen again.
Still not,
Right?
sir.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
not.
So what I was trying to tell you is in 1950s, what we were trying to do is, what if? So if then, I, being a doctor, would tell the machine that if the patient presents with anemia, you think of iron deficiency. So this was just a basic logic algorithm. At that time only, IBM's Deep Blue actually beat Kasparov. You might remember it was flashed. But in healthcare, what we were trying to do is we were using rule-based clinical decision support tools, which are still there. You know, some of the electronic medical records still use such CDSs, which we call AI 1.0. The major problem was whatever the humans had in terms of logical error and bias, it was amplified. 2.0 came in quite late because now we were trying to classify information based on training. That is where deep learning came in. So it's not only about, is this a cat or a dog? How many dogs will be in the park, say at noon, based on previous information? And whatever you see in publications today, most of it is still based on AI version 2.0. And Google made diabetic retinopathy screening a big phenomena, breast cancer, lungs cancer screening, skin condition. And also, if you analyze the electronic health record of a patient, you can tell whether the patient will improve or deteriorate. Here, what happened was there were certain out of distribution problems. And one of the phenomena deep learning per se, AI 2.0 had was that they were having catastrophic forgetting. The time they were reading the next sentence, they forgot the previous skill. So what we did, we brought in foundation models in 2018, just before COVID hit us. And this was what has created the hype about AI, though it has been there for more than 60, 70 years. Self-supervised learning, when an intern learns without any supervision, right? And now it can tell us what is the difference between a dog and a cat. It can generate images also. And now you have MedPalm, you have PubMed GPT, BioGPT, other than the general models which are there, right? Your GPT 5.0 and others. So instead of catastrophic forgetting, now we gave rise to something which is called hallucination. And what is an hallucination? It is confidently being wrong, right? Some of them might not agree also. So I don't know how many of you are using the LLMs. The first response is it tries to please you, right? Oh, great question. Oh, great suggestion. And then I myself asked it to, generate a review article on a particular topic. It generated a review article with 72 references, including 5 of them published by me. All the 72 references did not exist, right? So this is the degree of hallucination these models are capable of. So what is the difference between machine learning and deep learning? Machine learning does well when there is a small to medium-sized data set. But when you have a large data set, we are trying to copy the brain as we understand today. So you must have heard of convolutional neural networks, KNNs, and others. Essentially, these are all mathematical models. We also have graph things. So they do not need to understand the best feature, but they try to learn from it. So there are 3 types of learning, basically. One is supervised learning, where you give the data, you annotate it, and then the system learns. One is unsupervised learning, as I told you, if the intern is not supervised. And then there's something called reinforcement learning, when they learn through the pathway. Now, you have to understand that why hemato-oncology has been the frontier, one of the spaces in AI. Because it's a data-intensive medical thing where most of the time the data is so much that it is impossible to actually analyze them. We are getting continuous data from peripheral blood smears, flow cytometry, NGS, multi-omic analysis, and now we are integrating imaging data also. So we have imaging people in our panel discussion, and we'll discuss that. Now, this wealth of data actually presents a challenge, but it also presents an opportunity for modern clinicians. So, what is AI good at? It is good at looking at it and synthesizing it, because human diagnosticians face inherent limitations. Sitting at the microscope for long hours, you are bound to have cognitive fatigue. Subjective interpretation variability, it has been seen in most bone marrow samples in international consensus. It is very difficult to actually have a consensus. There's so much of discordant opinion. And then there's a significant time constraint when processing complex data sets. You're looking at NGS data and then you say, okay, the report will come after 1 month. By that time, either the patient has improved or deteriorated. So these challenges become particularly acute when dealing with rare cell populations, because now we are looking at single cells, or we are looking at subtle morphological changes maybe on microscope. So where it excels is it can recognize patterns. That is what it is capable of. The sky is the limit for high dimensional processing. So you give it all the data, you integrate the omic data sets, and then it can do some sort of forecasting using predictive analytics, because now you have advanced algorithms. But remember, some of it is still statistics on steroids. So it can predict treatment responses, forecast disease. But what all of us have to remember is it cannot replace clinicians. It actually serves as a powerful diagnostic adjunct, enhancing our expertise, but we have to preserve our irreplaceable clinical judgment, which actually defines quality patient care. So in hematology, it started a bit late in the 1980s when we had image processing software, then rule-based expert systems, then support vector machines, random forest gradient boosting. And when LLMs came, the convolutional neural networks began outperforming pathologists in classifying bone marrow aspirates and medical images. Some of them have been certified by FDA also. Now, what they are doing is in terms of generating new molecular structures, synthesizing training data, and generating explainable insights for precision medicine. So in digital morphology, it has been there for almost now 40 years. You have the models like YOLO, right? It has a version 10 now. It demonstrates exceptional metrics like 96.85% accuracy, 96.76% FI score across 12 distinct white blood cell subtypes. Similarly, you have for bone marrow pathology, which have a Cohen's-Kappa coefficient of almost 0.83. But obviously in medicine, we target something like 0.99. And then emerging vision language models such as CLIP and MedClip, they are the next frontier because they are generating pathology reports, reading the clinical history, looking at the image, looking at the PubMed and other sources for information, and then generating it. Now, AI-powered flow cytometry analysis, I can give you one example. Like BD is a major player in flow cytometry. In the last 2 years, it has acquired more than 25 AI startups. Why? Because on one hand, they're increasing the colors. You can have 40 color analysis now, but essentially those are all numbers. So it can detect the smallest clone, like increasing flowsome stochastic neighbor embedding. Even if you have one in, say, 1 in 1 million cells, it can detect those. It can automatically gate the things. And it has done some remarkable work in minimal residual disease detection. And mind you, we are not using it as in isolation. They are now integrated into the flow cytometry softwares. So if you look at publications, especially those who are into diagnostics of hematology and oncology, you'll see there are automated deep learning based molecular characterization diagnosis using flow cytometry, where look at this curve with a very good correlation. And I'll show you that this was done by an expert with 15 years of experience. And this gating was done using AI. At least to me, I cannot see any difference. It is also revolutionizing our cytogenetics and karyotyping because these are very labor intensive. And you know, if you look at people like Professor Amre and others, they have spent a lifetime learning it about karyotyping and now using image processing, using state-of-the-art transformer-based karyotyping systems trained on almost 50,000 annotated images. They are doing better than people who are just doing karyotyping at this time. In solid tumors, liquid biopsy has met AI. And how is it helping it? Signal enhancement. So, you know, circulating tumor DNA, we talk of it in different fora. So, they are less than 0.1% of the total cell-free DNA. But you can detect chip and meta-CH algorithms and others are doing a fantastic job there. You can do some CADBoost based integrative models, which can then integrate the ctDNA analysis with the profiles and demonstrate almost 98.8% specificity. It's all about fusion of different technologies, and relapse prediction can be 4 to 8 weeks earlier when recurrent neural networks are being used, multi-layer perception. Another thing which is happening now is we are integrating imaging and the pathology. So that gives you some kind of vision and tells you what exactly it is, exceeding the human radiologist performance, exceeding the pathologist's performance, but again, it is prone to errors, but it's trying. So in leukemia and lymphoma today, there is a multi-omic integration. It's not about genomics, transcriptomics. It's also about metabolics, omics, and now we have exposomics. So whatever that patient has been exposed to, especially for secondary cancers, you can use graph attention networks and graph convolutional networks. And as I already told you, single cell analysis would not have been possible without AI. Now, the major organizations today, including European Leukemia Network, European Society of Medical Oncology, they are all trying to integrate this technology because one of the major areas where we understand very little till now is AML. So doing a single cell analysis, looking at the gene expression, testing them, then why some are refractory, you can do basic Pearson or Spearman p-value, but you can use now the regulator mutation and other genes, and you can predict how to do targeted therapy, precision oncology. So these have already been published 3 years back, and people are now trying to collate it with clinical practice. Let me assure you, once quantum computing comes in, and Google is claiming it is within their reach and others are also there, so within 2 to 3 years, there'll be a huge jump in proteomics. So there is already a QProteoML, which is leveraging quantum principal component analysis and those support vector machines in multiple myeloma. So you can predict the relapse looking at protein signatures, and you can also predict, instead of just looking at TP53 or maybe looking at extramedullary mass, who will not do well, where you will use more toxic regimes. But here is a question for you. This is where I ask most of the time. Can you diagnose acute leukemias without using a microscope? So if you are there in the chat box, you can just say yes or no. But sometimes when I address the audience, one intern told me, sir, if you're asking this question, the answer is probably yes. Now let me show you a paper. This was published in Lancet Digital Health, looking at some basic parameters which can even be generated in a district hospital through automated cell counter and analyzers like fibrinogen, MCV, prothrombin time, LDH, percentage of monocyte count, MCHC, and certain information like age, lymphocyte count, absolute monocyte count, and platelets. This machine learning algorithm could diagnose AML, ALL, and even acute promyelocytic leukemia with an accuracy of 99%. So if you're running good controls and calibrators in automated systems where you don't even have the human resource of someone looking at a peripheral blood smear, you can use this. So this is called AI PAL, and the best part of it is, we always are talking of interpretable and explainable AI models. I'll again come to it a bit later, but this is an open source French model, which any one of you, if you are interested, you can use it. So I call it a game changer because if you look at the confidence of prediction, 99.7% for APL, 99.5% for ALL, 98.8% for AML. So even if you cannot stay in a slide, but if you have an automated cell counter, it appears to be, some sort of a contradiction, but there are facilities which have this, then you can do it without a microscope. So basically multimodal transformatory models. So you have something called MARIA, multimodal AI for hematologic assessment. Self-attention mechanism. The best part of this foundation large language models is that they can have self-attention mechanisms. They can learn on them. But what is the way for learning? So suppose you are in a small lab, or you are in a medical college, or you are in private practice. If you want your data also to contribute to learning, it has to be federated learning. because you cannot share your data like that. It has to be fully anonymized. There are AI models for that also, where the data at an individual level remains with you. But just like Google Maps, if 40 cars are standing, you get a red mark and the models learn. So federated learning, even if the AI Governance Act of India, you'll see, it has been proposed, but the models have to be calibrated according to perspective. If Stanford and Harvard have developed a model, don't be impressed by the fact that that will work in India. Be very careful. And as I told you, it should have explainability. If you are depending on it for then treating a particular patient or signing a report, you have to understand how it is doing it. Because if it's a black box, which most of the things which are being sold today are, then the liability is with you. No one is going to sue the artificial intelligence company or that device. So regulatory compliance has to be there. Our Government of India, DCGI, has also mandated something called software as a medical device, SAMD, and it has to be integrated into your system. Now, if you are not using electronic medical records, you're still writing on hand, which is not even human understandable and sometimes human readable, not machine understandable, then that system will not be able to act. And the most important thing, which all of you who are here today, please emphasize is human in the loop. Unless human validates it, never use it. Whatever Sam Altman says or Sundar Pichai says. Yes, it can have 96.85% accuracy, 10 to the power of minus MRD sensitivity, 4 to 8 weeks earlier detection, 99% detecting clonal stem cells. The multimodal integration will take clinical narratives, laboratory time series, digital pathology, flow cytometry, genomics, imaging all together, holistic view, and help you, but it should remain a help. It has helped us, like I showed you AIPAL in peripheral hospital triage, reference laboratory efficiency, quality assurance, molecular laboratory, NGS could not have been there without AI. Even helping in clinical decision support, in longitudinal monitoring a particular patient, it is democratizing expertise. So you might not have an expert, but if you're capturing the flow cytometry data, if you're doing a good automated sequencing, it can break geographical barriers and reduce diagnostic delays. But there are certain challenges and limitations. So when I say what tools you can use today, remember the challenges. Data set biases. In computer science, we say GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. In healthcare sector, it is GIHO, garbage in, harm out. Because if you're teaching it something wrong, that will only be amplified. And there are generalizability gaps. Something developed in a population in South India might not work in Western India. So you have to have a big data set. Always we are concerned about black box. Like even today, ChatGPT and Gemini are black boxes. And then cybersecurity and privacy and excessive trust in them may lead to diagnostic complacency. You said, okay, it has told, I'll just sign the report. Never do that. Okay, this has given me the chemotherapy protocol. Machine can do no wrong. You never know what it can do, right? Be very careful. And there are a lot of medical legal gray areas which the government, the World Health Organization, all are trying to do. So I've shown you what AI can do. But where is AI in hematology or oncology today? Here it is hematology, right? And where is oncology? Well, it is not even here. So let me remove the dada of AI. This is according to US FDA approved devices. I downloaded it. Hematology is here. Pathology is somewhere here. Oncology per se is nowhere. Though the radiation oncologists know that most of their machines are using it, but it's a part of that particular device. Separate device applications have not been approved by USFDA. So today it is helping us in so many ways. I showed you a glimpse into it. But the question remains, what tools can you use today? So this has been there for more than 10 years. Vision. It's basically from Sweden. Anyway, I don't have any conflict of interest, so don't worry. I'm just giving you some examples which automatically scans peripheral blood smears, flags abnormal cells, proven accuracy, 30 to 40% reduction in pathologist review time. It is available through Beckman Coulter and also through Sysmex. Another tool is there when you just keep the bone marrow slide. You don't have to remove it also. And then full-field digital imaging is done and they are giving a diagnosis. I heard from one of my colleagues in northern India that they were fascinated by it. But remember, if it does not understand the kind of staining problems we face, the pre-analytic variables in India, it may do a very dismal job. And don't think that only Europe and US are doing it. This is from India. In my next 4 slides, I'll show you some small initiatives by my group. And this is from a startup in Bangalore. They have something called AI 100 with Shonit. And if I compare it, it can pre-classify more than 30 cell types at almost 1/20th the cost of what CellaVision does. But it cannot be integrated into a cell counter. It has its own imaging perspectives. Now, I am here not to promote any particular tool, but I would always tell you, find out such startups in whatever sector you are and try to work with them. So I was talking of explainable deep learning. This is what we did around 3 years back with Indian Statistical Institute, that we taught the system in a similar way pathologists are taught. You look at the size of the cell, you look at the granularity, you look at the nucleolus, and then try to give a diagnosis. These are open source explainable, which are available. The more they learn, the better they will become. And I can tell you, a single thalassemia patient who was facing problems with nucleated RBCs being marked as leukocytes and blasts has validated models in IIT. So it's not that as an individual or a group you cannot do. Everything is being done by OpenAI or Perplexity or Google. Now let me come to a very sensitive thing before I end my talk. Generative AI for decision support. I think most of us are using it because whether you use ChatGPT or Claude, it can help you in getting summaries from the patient's notes, generate a SOAP note, and then get in NCCN and other things. You can now generate through Comet or other active browsers using AI, summarize the latest multiple myeloma treatment guidelines or give a comprehensive differential diagnosis. Sometimes it will do a good job, but there is a critical limitation. You have to remember that training the data cutoffs, we call it hyperparameter tuning, means this model select information on the most recently approved therapies. So if you are using it for novel drug therapy dosing, please go to the authentic sign. It is an excellent clinical adjunct. It's a good friend for the clinician, whatever LLM you are using today, but do not believe on what it says. So what not to do, I'll tell you. As I told you, no novel therapy dosing. Do not skip the human review. Wherever you are, do not believe the first output. Reiterate. And what I do is I challenge the output of one LLM and, ChatGPT told me something about this. Then I ask Perplexity, what do you think about this? Is it right? And then it says, no, this does not exist. This data is there. You can use then Claude, you can use Gemini, but you let the LLMs debate amongst each other. Maybe it will take you another 2 to 3 minutes, but that is important. Do not trust AI results on rare patient population because it has a tendency of overfitting, and never replace your clinical judgment, right? It's just like phone a friend, but clinical context, patient history, and physician experience, they are most important. Now, if you're buying an AI tool, actually in India, most of the AI tools do not have regulatory certification. So as I told you, CDSCO now has something called software as a medical device. Anyone who comes and tries to sell you something, tell them to show their certification. right? And then see where in all they have been validated. Which population? Is the population to similar to what you practice? And can it be integrated in your workflow or your work increases? So now you were ending your work by 6:30, now it goes on till 10 because you are using AI. Never use those things. And on edge cases, on rare cases, cases beyond 2 standard deviation, you absolutely have to learn about accuracy because most vendors will highlight performance on common cases. Common cases, your brain also does well. It's only about rare cases, and the vendors will try to overperform. So, what will happen in this next decade? There will be clinical validation and deployment provided you are smart enough to ask for it. There has to be standardization and scaling, and then by 2030, 2035, precision medicine will be at scale. So it can transform every diagnostic layer. It can augment your skills, not replace it. Multimodal integration is the future, but it should be a thoughtful approach. And for that, for the human in the loop, you have to be an AI literate hematologist or oncologist. You cannot say that, okay, the engineers will do it, I will just purchase it and use it. Please do not leave it to others, especially who are driven by the share market. Let us have a fair play. Let us play with them and then try to do it. If you're interested in reading about it, we have recently published from JP Publishers this AI in medicine. You can read things. Always try to understand what is going on, avoiding the hype. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Excellent.
Sometimes it is scary, sometimes it is very much required. Now AI is part of our life.
Right.
Yes, sir. It's okay. Now
Yeah.
we'll proceed for the panel discussion, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, I can see Dr. Harith right now, so I'll start off with him. Okay. So what I would like to learn from you, sir, is how are you using it? Because you have been also in the administration, where sometimes for smoothing the workflow and automating, it is doing some good work. But I would like to exactly learn from you that today, how you are using it and how you are sometimes apprehensive of not using it.
So thank you. I think first and foremost, your talk is wonderful, very contextual, and very much what we all experience on day-to-day basis. We are on both sides. We are worried, but we want to use it also. We know that the reality is coming very close. And we also realize, as you have predicted very well, that it will solve two things. It will solve the access issue. It will also solve the quality issue, or rather help us solve. I won't say it will solve. It will help us solve these problems as we go along. And I think your pursuit that all of us should actually own the responsibility rather than leaving it to the industry or to the vendors. That should not happen. And with this core thought only, few of us joined hands and created this IFDO, International Federation of Digital Oncology. The whole idea was that the medical fraternity has to own this journey of data, AI integration so that we really you create something which is usable and also friendly and authentic, which can be trusted in the long run. So I think the whole context is very good. As of today, I think what we are all experiencing and seeing, and I think for the diagnostic or imaging space, I will request Vidur to contribute because his experience is far more than all of us put together. But in clinical space, first and foremost, they're using in complex situations only to align the data together properly to understand. For example, in our tumor boards also, we have a discussions, but we have a context. We create a, summary of the case. We have a so when there's a very complex case, you put these questions to ChatGPT, and it will give you references and everything, including the latest ESMO presentations. All will be referred there. So those things come in. It helps in good decision making. I won't say we leave it to it. It helps in good decision making. I also want to say that we got several chances of participating with upcoming startups and other organizations who wanted data from hospital setting to create their models and to use our data. unfortunately, these partnerships have not taken off in true sense. Somewhere, some gap happens. I don't know why that gap is so big, but I would say that it is not happening. And today, after listening to you, I was thinking that I think we should take 2 steps forward, because those parties definitely want it. Somewhere it is all privacy, data issue, all this comes into play and it gets hijacked and it gets lost. So I think that is one big area. But I think diagnostic space is one big area where we all realize the immense potential. To give a context, I would say, for example, in breast imaging or all imaging, parrots or prostate or whatever, all imaging, we have categories from 0 to 5, 6, that how you categorize suspicion. I say if all this gets more and more data fed and supported, and we have good digitalization of the imaging, probably it will break into 2 or 3 segments. Your unnecessary interventions will go up, and your specificity will also go up, so that you can actually take good decisions just based on good imaging. Likewise, as you have already highlighted about the pathology range of issues which come up in surgical decision making, I would say that it has a we are not using on a consistent basis, but we definitely engage with our radiologist and discuss in more detail if we can get some more information on fine tuning a good decision, whether it's worth operating or some contradiction will, contraindication will come in. For example, peritoneal disease and things like that, which are very difficult. Otherwise, in imaging, we're not able to make these decisions. All requires, even today, we are using diagnostic laparoscopy for staging purposes. Having said that, I think this is one big area where we partnered with an organization but could not have the final sight of it. So exciting days. Right now, not so much of play, but definitely we are discussing all the time, and all complex cases.
So then I think I'll go directly to Dr. Vidur Mahajan. I see a good slogan on his wall also. And I think you can tell us that what you're doing now and what we are not being able to do, which might be able to do in future.
Thank you,
Over to
Prantha
Dr.
sir, and thank you, Harit sir, for the opportunity. It's truly an honor, and it's amazing to see the work that you've done to get IFDO, up and running. And I have just been a silent spectator on that WhatsApp group, and with the occasional apology message that I sent, कि sorry sir, मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाया. But
It's a long journey. It's a long journey. But the basic core value is that doctors have to own it and doctors
absolutely.
take lead. As you have said, patients, not data. So I think patience is a very big responsibility which we all have. And I think
Correct.
we are in a very good spot, sweet spot, where we can actually partner in a very big way and impact the world.
No, absolutely, sir. And maybe I'll just quick introduction of myself. So I'm a physician turned manager type of person. So I went to Sion Hospital in Bombay for medicine, and then went to the Wharton School in the US for an MBA. For about 10 years, I was running Mahajan Imaging, which is my family chain of radiology centers in Delhi. Adding new MRI scanners, CT scanners, etc. And then dabbled with research on AI, and finally in 2021 started Carpal.ai, which is a radiology AI startup. At Carpal, we are essentially, think of us as like the Amazon of radiology AI, right? There are, as we have discussed, in fact, as Pranthar sir showed, there are more than 1,000 US FDA approved AI solutions for radiology. But when a hospital such as say Max or somebody wants to access these solutions, they have to reach out to one company for brain tumors, another for lung tumors, another for prostate, and fourth one for pancreas, and it's just a mess, right? And that is just oncology. If you add like all the other disease on it, it just explodes even further. So we created this middle layer where basically we have the world's largest marketplace of AI solutions, more than 250 solutions from 90 plus companies, all of which can not only be bought, but also validated through our platform prior to use. Right. So we, in fact, we are the world's only, we are like, so Harvard uses us, Stanford uses us to test AI solutions. So it's like, think of it as an interview right? Like you may be the greatest oncologist in the world, doesn't mean you don't get interviewed for the job, right? So similarly, you could be the greatest AI solution in the world, but we still have to figure out guardrails, right? Is it right for my patients? Does it even work on my patients? If it does not work, what is it not good at? And what is it good at? So all of those things we help answer. And then the end goal is, of course, seamless deployment in the clinical workflow, right? Which is where we have a bunch of ways we interact with PACS systems, RIS systems, etc., and give AI in the hands of radiologists without having to deal with 15, 20 different companies at the same time. And today, very proud to say that we are based in the bylanes of Saidul Ajab in Delhi, but our platform is used by the largest radiology provider in the US, RadNet, the largest in Brazil, Fleury, largest in UK, largest in Europe, the Singapore government, Australia, etc. All of it happens, and the single reason is because we call ourselves a clinical technology company, right? Like out of the 75 people in the company today, 15 have clinical backgrounds. So Harit sir, to your point, like I feel that any company, any product development happening in the clinical domain has to be clinically led, right? The mindset has to be clear that we are not here just to sell a product. There has to be some, we call it clinical, operational, and financial benefit. So the COF framework, we need to have at least two of these three benefits in to the end user and the patient in order for the product to be useful. So that is what we do. We are like an AI marketplace. Coming to the domain of oncology and what is happening in it across the world. So essentially, there are four broad use cases of AI today in our world. Of course, the most common is mammography, so breast cancer screening using AI, where mammo AI solutions. In fact, I would go out on a limb and say that if you are not using AI while you are reporting mammography, you are actually doing wrong to your patient. And what has happened today in the West, India may, because of the CDSCO approval process, we still don't have any mammography solutions that are approved, but we work with companies to help them through the process. But in the US, first time ever, these radiology companies are getting patients to pay $40 more and say ki you will get a second AI read along with your standard radiologist read, and then you will, if the two differ, like if the radiologist says no finding and the AI finds a finding, there is going to be an arbitrator, so a senior radiologist who's going to review both of them and give you a very good report. Right? And patients are paying out of pocket. US, nobody is used to paying out of pocket, but they are doing it. In Europe, where traditionally two readers used to read mammograms, right? There would be a double blind read. And in case, again, if there is discordance between the two, there would be adjudication. One of the readers is now becoming an AI system, right? So, and similarly in Australia, Singapore, etc., adjunct reads with AI, and it has two benefits. First is normal rule out, right? I am a radiologist. I look at a scan. I think there's no cancer. AI also thinks no cancer. I would have otherwise spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes making sure that I am, that I have not missed anything. But now I have AI looking over my shoulder. Usne bhi bol diya that there is no cancer. I can go much faster. My normal reporting goes at an exponentially faster pace. The other is the other side, right? The flip side, which is higher sensitivity, right? Where now the AI will pick up certain suspicious areas. They may or may not be cancer, but I, as a radiologist, then get that additional helping hand in terms of looking at the suspicious areas and determining whether it is worthy of further reporting or not. So that is happening in the world of mammograms. We need it in our country desperately. Shout out to everybody out there who is interested in this. There are companies waiting to get that CDSCO approval and bring this technology to our country. Sir, the second is lung cancer screening. Every developed country today, most recently being Australia, now has a low-dose CT-based lung cancer screening program. Idea again is very simple. If anybody has done more than 20 pack years of smoking, etc., you subject them to a low-dose CT scan, you pick up their cancer early, lesser burden on society, lesser burden on the healthcare system, etc. But sudden upsurge in these scans. अब radiologist तो sir उतना ही है. But we've now filled these CT scanners with people who are at high risk. So again, AI comes to the rescue in the exact same manner as Mammo, where your normal readouts are that much more faster and your pickup rate is much higher. And in your lung cancer screening, you need to calculate the PanCan number, the lung RADS score, etc. All of those are then done by AI. Volumetry is done by AI. You don't need to. So normally, वो नापना पड़ता है, in 3 dimensions, the size of the nodule and all of that. All of that is done by AI with, of course, a manual override being there all the time. So the second is that, again, we are not using it in India. In fact, there was one of the first companies in this domain was an Indian company called Predible out of Bangalore. But unfortunately, they didn't find enough takers and they had to then merge with a larger company. But that is the second most useful application. So third is prostate cancer on MR, where again, automated volumetry. Then, people are now trying to figure out, can you do a MR biopsy, right? Where can you actually get a biopsy output using an MR system? I don't think there is any FDA approved solution or any regulatory approved solution as yet, but hopefully this year, we should see that happen again, because as MR becomes a tool to screen for prostate cancer, you will again have that upsurge of patients, and then somehow, the radiologist will again need those tools. The last is, sir, I don't think there are any tools clinically for it right now, but it is, brain tumor on MR, which is, can you do your genomic signatures, etc., by looking at MR images of the brain, and thereby potentially avoid doing a very expensive genomic test, and get directly to the targeted therapies, etc. So these are the 4 domains. Pancreatic cancer is another which people are working on. Just today I was with some researchers from the Champagnat Institute in Lisbon, which does a lot of work on pancreatic cancer. They are going to be commercializing a tool soon as well. But suffice to say that we need to create demand. As a country, we need to be attractive enough for these AI providers to actually want to come here and sell, right? Because if they can get a 10x higher revenue number per patient in the developed world, वो incentive ही नहीं रहता है सर यहाँ आने का उनके पास. And जो यहाँ बना रहे हैं फिर वो भी बाहर ही बेचेंगे, because उनको भी 10x और मिलेगा. So we need to let's create that demand. I don't know, I don't know how, but yes, but this is my long sermon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent.
I can see Dr. Kundan, who was watching us and hearing us. So now to you, telling us where we are now.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Your talk was quite wonderful, actually. You covered quite comprehensively each and every aspect. And as Vidur was telling you, especially regarding the radiology part. So actually, when AI came, it was actually mainly based on the imaging based things. And now, as the LLM are there, now the things have slightly changed, and we are coming into a domain where we are talking about like the summarization parts, the decision-making parts, and those are the things which are now coming up. So what we are actually doing at our institute is basically, there are 2 aspects of it using in the clinical sense. One is the processes, how you can make your processes better using AI. And other is a clinical domain where you have to take judgment. We have predictive or prognostic modeling, especially using images or a clinical data. And I am a radiation oncologist. So because we are dealing with most of the time with systems and the computers, which I think, if I remember correctly, 5 or 10 years back, we had some auto contouring segmentation models, which were not exactly, if we call as a AI, but they were quite intelligent algorithms, which were actually doing things. And but now we have deep learning embedded into these systems. So they are like, we have a machine which is an edge machine which has lot many AI components, which is like if you do a scan of a patient, it can actually contours the tumor area, the non-tumor area, as well as there is a planning systems where there's a auto planning. Actually, you just have to define your parameters. Okay, I want this much of dose to this area, and I don't want these dose to these areas, and then these systems can do a planning. And this they are quite boon in situations where you have to do a very fast planning, like an adaptive situation when patient is within the machine. So these are like helping in a great way. But if I talk about what we have been actually doing, as Dr. Harit was saying, sir, as a clinician, we have to lead. So it was way back in 2013 or 14 when we came to know about AI. And it was very difficult as there's a domain gap between the techies and the clinicians. So we don't understand their language and they don't understand our language. So what we decided is let's go ahead and learn ourselves. So at that time, our team actually decided to learn. We did so many courses. And then from there onwards, we are building our own models by ourselves. And once we got to know about the system and everything, now we are roping in the data scientists as well as clinicians. So this is what we have been doing. And recently, actually, the main thing which we are doing is for the research part. For example, if we have to collect the data, so we don't usually type everything in the system. So we are using these Gemini APIs, which actually help us to extract data automatically. We just have to submit the reports and it extracts the data and fill in the Excel sheet. So we have all research data ready with us. Same way, we have recently developed a model which can predict the eligibility of deep inspiration breath hold. Because what happens in these situations for a left-sided breast cancer patients, where we usually tell them that if we do a deep inspiration breath hold technique, your heart dose will be less. But for that, we have to assess them for 3 days. And because that takes a toll, especially patient has to spend so much of time for radiation as well as then these 3 extra days. So we developed a model on the basis of first day of assessment. What will be the result on the third day, whether patient will be eligible or not eligible based on the DIBH parameters, the respiratory assessment parameters. And that we already published, it's validated. Now we are actually using it in the clinic, not changing our result based on that model, but just collecting a prospective data to validate it further. And probably within next year, if that is okay, then we probably can use that. So this is something which we have been doing, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. I think Professor Malhotra has raised his hand, and then there are some questions. So first, Professor Malhotra, please.
Thank you, Pranthar. I really enjoyed your talk, and lots of learning is happening. Intelligence is increasing. I don't know artificial or not. So my question and comment is that one of the problems which we are facing these days, particularly in solid tumor oncology, is that we get this like comprehensive genomic NGS for most patients when we are stuck, when we've finished all the standards of care. And the NGS throws up 5 or 6 mutations. We know what to do if there is one mutation. We presume that that is the driver mutation. But when you have 3, 4 other mutations, then you really don't know what to do. And I think AI, with its deep learning and intensive capability to search the literature, might be able to help over here. So it would be a big asset for a molecular tumor board. And maybe Dr. Mahajan or Harit would want to comment on this. And maybe we should in India start an initiative collecting data on this. Over.
Yeah.
We can only comment that yes, we should start collecting data, and it is high time that we start collecting this in a systematic way. It is very, very. So I think on that front, NCG has done a wonderful job with standardizing few EMRs and helping the hospitals acquire those EMRs. So I think first basic requirement is that there should be a comprehensive. So this is one big area where AI can step in and play a big role in collecting data at a much lesser cost. This is one of the big concerns which I feel. Typically, if you look at US, the data collection of the entry which the clinicians do is very expensive because that takes their time and also very tiring. It is one of the things which is labeled as leading to fatigue, clinician fatigue,
Burnout,
and
actually, high
burnout.
burnout.
High
Yeah.
burnout. So both these things, if we use AI for data collection, if we use this software and help some nurse practitioners, some coordinators who can collect data in a systematic way, use patients' time, all that. So I think, Dr. Hemant, to your point, there is absolutely no debate, no discussion. This is the core foundation on which the whole thing will be structured and erected. So we all need a good module for data collection and where it can have a crosstalk also. If we can easily share, as I mentioned earlier also, that we felt so many times the opportunity was good, but somewhere that partnership did not grow to the level it should have grown. And whether I am responsible or the system is not, I don't know, but somebody is responsible and should take a call that how it can be solved. So that is very basic and very essential. And I think what you said about the NGS interpretation, this is one, all complex data points, I think AI can help in interpreting that. And as Prantar pointed out, don't rely too much on complex issues because complex issues, it actually imagines more and hallucinates. So I'm just saying interpret the data and give some clues and then you can apply your brain. Thank you.
Dr. Kundan has raised his hand.
Yeah, sir, actually, I completely agree with Dr. Harit because data is something because your AI model is as good as your data. So, and collecting data is a huge thing. Basically, when we tried initially, because it's very difficult to convince your team members to go and put everything into the computer. So you can make an exhaustive sheet, but then again, that's very, very difficult in a busy clinic to how you are going to collect prospective data. And if you try to collect retrospective data, then you lose so many important element in that retrospective data. So recently, there are very interesting solutions which are coming up. For example, there is a solution where you can just like for a patient registration, you just upload an ID, extract all the information and fill the form. For sisters taking vitals, they just start discussing with the doctors, okay, the BP is this much, a normal conversation, and in the background that AI is listening and it removes all the abstract, all the gibberish from your script and only put those medically relevant terms into the sheet which you have prepared. So this is now we are entering into a very
Yeah,
interesting
we are calling
phase.
it ambient scribe.
Ambient scribe, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
you keep on speaking and you can use different languages, different dialects, still
exactly.
it is able to understand.
Still it can read and it can fill all your data, all your forms and everything. The
Yeah.
problem here was we were going to acquire that, but the problem was the cost was very, very expensive. So probably with some time, over a period of time, it may become affordable to.
With more democratization, the price will decrease also. And even the IITs and others are also working on it. See, we have to understand that data is the starting point. So every clinician is a data scientist. If we do not do it well, no model will work well. Right?
Exactly.
So I think that is the thing. Dr. Sanjeev Gupta had many comments and questions. So we agree with you. We have to all work together. And as far as privacy and everything is concerned, as I told you, other than federated learning, there are certain other things also. But if you read the DPDP Act now and the AI governance, they are also in evolution. We will slowly learn it. But as long as the important data stays with you and it goes in a de-identified, anonymized manner, we should not have problems. But there you should have that kind of literacy amongst all the users. So I think we have taken over time. So Rajesh has appeared. Now we can
Thank you, sir. It has been great learning.
Yeah.
Always.
Thank you, sir.
Couple of more questions I thought we
Yes.
had there.
Yeah.
AI is now unavoidable in our life. Important thing is how to use it, whether it is going to motivate us to use it more or demotivate us, how it is going to affect our confidence. Everything depends on our experience, how we are going to learn from it and how we are going to use it.
Yes.
Like in our case, we work on the human health related issues, that too with respect to the radiation induced damage. Now my thing was coming, various things were coming in my mind, that how we are going to use it in case of triage if we have huge number of data set, but how much data we need, that is really need to be defined. Okay, how much data is going to be sufficient to reach to the particular conclusion using AI or generative AI based tools. So this needs to be looked into. Then only one will be able to get confidence and motivation. And of course, if we use these tools in future, we'll be having more and more upcomings for development of new therapies and diagnostics also. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So may I request Dr. Richa to deliver vote of thanks? Dr. Richa.
Good evening, everyone. It was really very interesting, and I had many questions. But the one question which I want to ask, I work at Mahavir Cancer Sansthan. It's a very busy cancer center, and many a times we have so many, vendors approaching us to give share data for AI, artificial intelligence. But the thing is that we are still not yet confident enough to share the data and start learning. So I'd request, our learned speakers and panelists, how do we start? Can we just start sharing our data and start learning?
Yeah, I think I'll take that in the beginning. So what I told is, see, it's a question of trust because it's not data, it's a person's life, right? So the first thing is the competency and the person's credibility or the institution's credibility, whether they are doing things in a manner, and these kind of things should again go through a scientific advisory committee and an institutional ethics committee. The only problem is people who sit there also do not understand AI, right? So that's why, now we have a National Institute of Digital Health on behalf of ICMR, and we are trying to publish a white paper on such things because unless we know how to share it, whom to share it, and how to get about it, we might commit mistakes which may cost us also, do harm. So these are very valid questions which need to be taken at different platforms, both from the academic point of view and research point of view. But we also, on behalf of Indian College of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine, we are trying to get people at least aware, that what is actually right. Because these are all relative, right and wrong. So, even there have been suits against OpenAI and others that they have cheated and they have plagiarized everything. So there are a lot of gray areas, and for busy clinicians, then to take a decision on them. So I think the government is trying to get some governance rules, some guidelines, and when you have a national kind of thing there, you might always say, okay, I think this is the right way. But I can tell you something, other than software as a medical device, there are large chains of hospitals who are using electronic medical records. Within the system, they can develop certain tools to learn it, which then, unless you are selling to someone else within your system, like Mahavir Cancer Sansthan, working with, say, some data scientists, can see certain patterns which are going on and try to predict, how do you categorize, how do you stratify, how do you optimize. So I think those basic level interactions, and I always say that if a brother and sister is an engineer and a doctor, the communication is good only, hopefully. So this is the beginning. But one thing I would like to tell you, Madam Chauhan, is make sure that you are recording most of the data what you're seeing, because that is your gold mine. If you're not documenting it, recording it, even if you want to do something in future, you'll not be able to.
So can I make a quick comment? I know we are a little over time, but maybe I can pull rank and put in one comment. So I think Richa's concern about privacy and data privacy and patient privacy is important. But in today's time, when we are using cell phones, each one of us has one or maybe two cell phones. What is the question of privacy? Like I'm giving a talk in Bhatinda. I have a flight from Delhi at 8 p.m. in the evening to get back to Jaipur. Google will tell me at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you have a 8 o'clock flight from Delhi, and in the next half hour, you should leave by car for Delhi. So our data is already completely public. Not that I am kind of underestimating the importance of privacy, but it all has to be kept in perspective, and the benefits and the potential harms have to be weighed very carefully. My second comment is that we already have 2, 3 organizations in the country looking at artificial intelligence and human health. Dr. Harit is instrumental in one, Dr. Prantar is instrumental in the other. So why don't we integrate all these together and, kind of do a joint effort and really truly try to make an impact on this and get the doctors into AI development and the softwares right from the beginning and not make the mistake which we've made so many times in the past. And number 3, I think all big institutions must consider either full-time or part-time employment for a data scientist. I think it's high time for that, and that will pay in the long run. Maybe no return on investment in the immediate future, but certainly massive return on investments in terms of nurturing that scientist at your institution in the long term. So those are my, final comments. And back to the organizers. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So now it's my privilege to offer a vote of thanks for today's such an enlightening and informative session. I thank our President, ISO, Dr. Hemant Malhotra, sir, Secretary, Dr. Arvind, the Program Directors, Dr. Sabita, Dr. Samir, Dr. Suman, Dr. Damodar for another insightful webinar on the role of AI in oncology. A big thank you to our guest speaker, Dr. Prantar Chakravarti, for sharing your expertise, describing the advantages, limitations, challenges of AI, and for such an engaging and panel discussion in a very relatable way. I also thank our panelists, Dr. Harit Chaturvedi sir, Dr. Kundan, Dr. Vidur. And finally, I would like to thank all of you present here in this meeting for taking the time to be with us and for helping us make this event a success. And special thank to our event organizer, Mice Ideas. Thank you one and all. Good night.
So what numbers did we finally make, Rajesh?
I think we are close to Nirav?
200, sir.
Sir, we are close to 200.
100, sir.
Yeah, 200, sir.
Very good, wonderful. So thank you, Sumant, and thank you, Sabita, and the core organizers for this. And I hope we will have our next one, which is even more successful. Over and out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ISO.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.